Hey, Gator Nation. Welcome back to Respect Our Decision Pod of the People, guys. As always, I'm your boy Hirsch. With me, my one co-host for the evening, CJ the Man McCann.
What's up, guys?
Our boy, the Hype Man Wes, had some technical difficulties tonight, so he is out until next week. Um, but everything's okay with him. As always, guys, this is our weekly show we do where you send us your questions and we try to provide some answers, opinions. We have some fun questions in here that people ask us from our social media platforms. So go check those out. Twitter at our respect our decision, our DCN, excuse me. I'll get it together. It's not as easy as the Facebook group. The Facebook group is just respect our decision. You can join that Facebook group and then you can join our chat that we have on there, guys. It's a great group of guys on there, and that's where a lot of these questions come from, is those guys that are in our chat. We have great conversations in there. So they ask us questions, we answer these questions. You know how it goes if you've been watching for a while. If you don't, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, guys. Drop a like on the video. And if you've got a question for us you'd like to answer on next week's show, drop it down below in the comments and we'll read it on the air for the next week's show. But we're going to jump right into it, guys. First question of the week, once again, coming from our boy Ryan Guerin. Ryan asked, recently, Scott Strickland stated that the notion that Billy Napier is in any hot seat is false. With the moves made this offseason, do you see this as accurate? Billy seems to be more of just a cog in the process and less of the cog. Also, playing devil's advocate, admitting Billy would be in trouble could also mean that Strickland is in trouble. CJ, do you believe the notion that Billy Napier is on the hot seat is false?
Yes and no. First of all, I'm going to say no because I think that no athletic director is going to come out and throw his head coach under the bus, no matter what's
Especially
going on.
Scott Strickland.
Especially Scott Strickland. This is his second hire, and everything up to this point hasn't gone super well. Also, too, I do understand from what the talk that I understand from people that know, Billy Napier's seat is warm, but it's not as hot as we would have it, right? As the fan base. I think that there are multiple scenarios that play out where Billy keeps his job this year, depending on what happens. So I think that his seat is warm, but like I said, I don't think it's as hot as we would have it, or not me personally, but just as the overall fan base, how they feel right now. I don't think it's as hot as they would like it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that notion. Now, if you come out and you start 2-2, that seat's going to get lava warm real quick.
Right.
You got to get ahead of this schedule because we know what the back end looks like. I mean, the back end is probably a losing battle unless you take miraculous, moon steps forward next year in player development and on the field play. All right, Justin Cordero has two questions. The first one, do you prefer being a fan when there was less info, i.e. insider sites, crystal balls, social media, and being 10 steps ahead of the news, or prior when stuff just happened and everything was a surprise for just less engagement? Justin, I'll answer. We can both answer this one. I absolutely used to prefer it back then. You had a couple of message boards you could join, and even then, the information was kind of, well, this is what we think is happening. There was never really any, hey, tomorrow I've already, guaranteed putting my prediction in. The Gators are landing so and so. There were always surprises. CJ?
No, yeah, I think that the accessibility to info now is almost is too much. I think we know too much. I would rather go back to being kind of clueless about a lot of how this works, and it would make it better recruiting, especially. Oh my gosh, recruiting! If you didn't know what the ins and outs of all that, and you were just excited for who we got, then it'd probably make a lot easier. So yeah, I think back when info was a little more scarce, it was a little more enjoyable than it is now. But there's good and bad to it. You stay plugged in as you're as much of a fanatic as we are. We're pretty much in too deep at this point. I don't think we could we could go back.
The business, the industry, let me say, is definitely oversaturated now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Shannon Terry, for your pyramid scheme of creating companies and then leaving and creating a new company that does the exact same thing. All right, Justin Cordero's got a question we're both going to answer, man. Justin with another awesome wrestling question this week, guys. We love the wrestling questions. You can keep those coming.
Mm-hmm.
Greatest heel wrestler of all time, CJ.
Greatest heel wrestler of all time. Wow, that's a tough one. Immediately my mind goes to Flair, just because Flair was
Dirtiest
probably
player in the game, baby.
the best heel you want to see lose. But I'll tell you, I'll take it one further. From my age, it's Triple H, because there was like a run in like the early 2000s where that man had the
He was
belt
never
forever.
good.
and it was like this guy sucks. Yeah, I'll give it to Triple H. I think Triple H there was a time where that man was like had zero redeeming qualities, and you just wanted to see him lose.
I've got one that beats that from my time growing up, and because of who he played when he played it, the Iron Sheik was the perfect heel in the 1980s. Iran Contra affair, all that kind of stuff going on, man. Hulk Hogan in one corner, Mr. All Everything America, Iron Sheik, and everybody hated the Iron Sheik. The only person I put close to Iron Sheik, and you're right, Flair's the dirtiest player in the game, but Flair got over a lot, especially in the South. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Oh my God, man. Piper drew some heat. So much so that if you watch some of his old interviews, man, that guy feared for his life. He had to fend off guys trying to stab him in the parking lot, tearing his car up. Man, the old school territory wrestling guys, I don't know how they lived through some of the stuff they did, man. It was a rough time.
That stuff was real. You go to they'd find out what car you drove and go out and slash your tires, break your
that guys had to used to
windshields.
sneak in and out in the back and with a towel over their head. But yeah, Sheik's probably the best character, but Piper, probably mic work and everything, Piper's right there a close second for me. All right, Justin Wood has a few questions as always. His first question: how many more transfers do you think we add this window, CJ?
Maybe one.
I'm going to say maybe two. I think we add possibly the tight end from Air Force and maybe another one. But we're up against it, man. We might have to lose a guy, another guy on the roster to add to. So Justin also asked, next guy to pop for 25 ? Stubbs ? Justin, I think that's probably a very, very good likelihood out of the guys out there right now. A few months ago, I probably would have said Ryan Montgomery was in there, but now I think Ryan Montgomery's, I don't know if we've backburnered him so much or if maybe it's a mutual thing, but I don't think he's the slam dunk that we all thought he was at some point. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because we have really turned up the heat on Antoine Hill Jr. And I know CJ loves that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin asks, what do you think the baseball team's record is this year, CJ?
I think you'd probably mirror it with last year's record. I'm not entirely sure what it was. Baseball's numbers change so much and things get postponed, and you lose games because of weather, because they're midweek games, etc. But I think it's going to be pretty similar to where we were last year. I don't see it dropping off. It might even be better than where we were last year. But I think that's kind of, you look at last year, look at that record, and it's probably where we're going to be at this year, based on the team and the quality of team we're bringing back. If you didn't see, D1 baseball released the top 25, and Florida is number 2 in the country. So they obviously think a lot of us. Usually the D1 baseball and Kendall Rogers, they do a really good job of covering their stuff over there. So if they think a lot of us, then we've got a pretty good team coming back.
All right, Justin's last question, and he asked this yesterday. Do you think Robinson and Grimsley ask out of their LOIs and come to Florida. Justin, we talked about this already as of this recording. Robinson's already gotten out of his. Texas has already released him, and Florida is absolutely the favorite. If I learn to talk in this episode, it'll be a miracle. LSU is a little bit on the back burner because they hired the defensive line coach from Texas. That was a big draw for Robinson there. I think if Grimsley was going to ask out, you would have heard about it by now. I just got a feeling. I just got a feeling he's pretty locked in with them. And I think it comes down to it's still, winning stability. Is he going to come to Florida and possibly the staff here break up again next year? And then he's having to waste his transfer. I mean, I think he's just going to tough it out.
He's got a great opportunity to play now too, because
a lot of people in front of him have hit the road. So
Alabama's DB room is just absolutely been rated. I think that's a draw for him too, is he can play earlier.
Jared White asked, given the lack of proven depth at edge, do you think Wingo gets a shot there? Jared, Wingo doesn't have the foot speed or the twitch. Great tackler. I just don't. He doesn't have the motion that you need to play edge. He's not running around anybody. That's for sure.
I think they found Wingo's home last year toward the end of the year. For sure.
And like I said, I still think he's a great senior spokesman in that linebacker room, just being a leader for these young guys. Lucas, the Gator Man, with a wrestling question: how many of you guys have watched Taker versus Mick Foley, King of the Ring '98? Well, we've all seen that one, Lucas, but I'll tell you that I watched that one live. As I said last week, Mick Foley, my favorite wrestler of all time. That's back when we actually bought the pay-per-views, and in that stretch, I was buying a lot of shows. And man, that was an absolute thing. The best thing about watching that live was you really thought Mick was dead when he came off the top of the cage. Like, that's one of those things that you watched live and you were like, there's no way that was supposed to happen.
My favorite part of the whole match is where Terry Funk comes out and Undertaker choke slams him out of his shoes. And
to hear the Funker talk about that, he did that specifically to buy Mick some time. Like, he knew his bell was rung on that second fall because that one wasn't supposed to happen. When the cage broke and Mick crashed down and almost killed himself. So Funk ran down there to buy him some time to gather himself, or for the medics to decide if he needed to be pulled out of the match. All right. Last question. Lowell Edward Browning asks, looking more to the portal than the 25 class, hoping for more experienced defensive addition at any position. Can you name any area of our defense last year that was even adequate? Adequate.
What are we talking? I mean,
Shamar was adequate before he got hurt.
Shamar before he got hurt, Princely half the time.
Let's see, Castell the first half of the season.
I
don't think the defensive tackles were were bad.
No.
And I think Sapp played really well as well. Like I said, I think a lack of strength and conditioning hurt that group more than anything did. I think those guys were out of shape, out of strength wise. They weren't up to snuff with offensive lines in the SEC. Hopefully you see a absolute change in that. And I look forward to seeing what Slackman brings to the table in that group as well this season as a change of pace guy. All right, guys, that does it all for the questions. Hey, we got a community question this week. We don't have a lot of responses. We don't have a lot of responses, but we're going to run through it real quick, guys, before we get out of here. This week's community question, in lieu of all the rumors and the hype of NCAA 2024 possibly or not possibly being released July 12th, Shout out to Gator Dave on that rumor. We asked, who would you like to see as the cover athlete for the new game this year? And here's some of the answers we got. Maybe not. Here it goes. Ryan Guerin says the cover should be J.J. McCarthy. Possibly J.J. McCarthy. Josh Hume says, shouldn't be a player. It should be the GOAT. I'm assuming he means Saban there. And T-Mac suggested that on our Twitter as well, that it should be Saban. And I think if they do a deluxe edition, which EA Sports loves their deluxe editions, I think Saban will have the deluxe edition cover. Personal opinion. Let's see here. Jed Keel says, if it's a player that's currently in college, I say Jalen Milroe. If it's a recent departure, I say Jaden Daniels. Those aren't bad choices. I can't see it being Milroe, though. That Lucas says Saban. Jesse Barfield says Saban for sure. I'm in no way an Alabama fan, just respect for his career. And Justin Wood says Blake Corum of Michigan. That's actually a good choice I hadn't thought of, but pretty solid choice there. What do you think, CJ?
And this is a tough one for me. I thought about it to kick the tires a little bit on all year. I think Saban, like you said, if they did like a special edition, I'd have no issue with them putting him on the cover, kind of similar to what Madden did with John Madden a few years ago. I think that would be, sufficient. I think Saban has earned his spot if we're just talking about the return of college football. But if we're talking like a cover athlete, I think that I'd like to see like maybe we get Marvin Harrison Jr. on the cover. I think that would be pretty cool.
That one would be a nice one.
I think that would be really cool to put him on there. I think I'd like to see a wide receiver. So either him or Roma Dunzy would be pretty cool to me to put on the cover.
I like the idea of Corum on there. I think that's really cool because I don't believe that guy got near enough love for all he did. Obviously McCarthy's kind of low hanging fruit, but not a bad idea. I mean, the guy won the national championship. And Daniels, of course, if you do a year prior, but I think with NIL now, you'll most likely see a current player out there. Man, I don't know for next year outside of a handful of guys. I don't know who the favorite returning player would be. Probably somebody at Georgia. Probably be Carson Beck, knowing our luck.
Carson Beck. That'd be the kicking the balls that we need. Here's your game back.
They'll put Kirby on there and say franchise mode edition. On there. King of college football.
Here's the Kirby Smart edition.
Then all the Gator fans will be pissed about going and buying the game.
I'm gonna play it anyway. I don't care.
I'll bootleg it. I'll just tear the thing. Well, I don't buy the damn cover. I don't buy the case
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Damn it! I don't need to see Kirby Smart.
I don't need a physical copy. What is this? 2010.
Hey, those are worth a lot of money. Public service announcement. Public service announcement. If you have an old copy of NCAA football, now is the time to sell
unload
that
it
thing.
Now.
That bubble is about to burst, and all that value will go out the window. So come off it now while the price is high. Put it on eBay or whatever you got to do and get that $100 or whatever it is. Hell, the price might have already dropped, but now is the time to move out from under that crypto. All right, guys, that's our episode for this week. Short, sweet, to the point, man. Hate that Wes wasn't here to be here for it, but we'll get him next week. Make sure you send in those questions again next week, guys. Look for our questionnaire. Be on our social media pages, man. Send in your questions. Hopefully we got some good stuff to talk about next week, man. Hopefully something shakes loose this week in Gator Nation. Maybe we get a last-minute portal edition. Obviously, the ad drop line is the 22nd. Maybe we can get a portal edition and spirits will be high, or maybe we'll be talking about an NIL stuff again next week and why we're not using more than other teams are. But until then, guys, hey,
Well, one
just
more
be
thing before we go.
See, Jay's got one more thing.
I meant to say this. We had technical difficulties on the Respect Our Decision pod, the main show. So I didn't get to put this in there, but I wanted to send thoughts and prayers to Ronald Powell's family.
Absolutely,
This time, Ronald Powell, a great Gator. Still the highest recruited player, the highest ranked player we've ever recruited at the school. We all have fond memories of getting Ronald Powell, and by all accounts, a really good dude to a lot of people. So definitely want to send thoughts and prayers out to him. And if you're going through something, then I urge you to get some help as well. There are people out there willing to help you. So make sure you do that. And like I said, just send a thought and a prayer, hug somebody you love this week. And again, just so sorry to lose one of our own, one of our guys. May he rest in paradise. But obviously, we're all thinking about him and his family at this time.
Absolutely, man. That crushed me the other night when I saw it. Junior Gillette tweeted it out, and I immediately was like, "No, man, Ronald's just too young." And
Yep.
Sadly, man, it happens every day. And just always check after your people, man. Call your family members, check on them. Call your friends, check on them. If you ever suspect people are going through something, man, just reach out, man. Don't ever be too busy to reach out. And if you ever need, man, if you're listening to this show, man, and you're part of one of our groups or something like that, man, I'm always free. Message me, man, if you're going through something, man. Hirsch, you got a minute to talk, man. I'm always around. I don't mean to turn this into a hotline or anything like that, but at the same time, some people just need to know that someone's there for them. Right. And like I can be reached on, DM'd at Twitter. I can be reached in a Facebook. I'm there. It's my own personal profile. Send me a message if you need to talk, man. I'm always around. And I know CJ feels the same way about that kind of stuff. So till then, man, take care of each other, guys, and go Gators.
Go Gators.